the fiancé shouted at the toddler. Then the child pointed behind her without a word. I still remember the moment the little girl went completely silent. She wasn't crying anymore. She wasn't moving. She was just pointing. Her tiny finger aimed at something behind the woman who had just screamed in her face. And what that finger revealed would change everything. But nobody in that kitchen was ready for what happened next. Emma Carter was 3 years old, with soft brown curls and eyes that always seemed to notice more than adults expected. She lived in a quiet house in Ohio with her father, Mark, a hard-working mechanic who had raised her alone since her mother passed away 2 years earlier. Mark had recently gotten engaged to a woman named Rachel. She seemed kind at first. She smiled at church. She brought cookies to the neighbors. Everyone in town said Mark was lucky. But Emma didn't smile when Rachel walked into a room. Mark noticed it, but he told himself it was just a little girl adjusting to change. He wanted so badly to believe his daughter would learn to love Rachel the way he did. That evening, Mark had to run to the hardware store. He left Emma with Rachel for just 20 minutes. 20 minutes was all it took. The kitchen was quiet when Mark's truck pulled out of the driveway. Rachel was cleaning up dishes when she heard a crash. A small vase, one that used to belong to Emma's mother, lay shattered on the floor. Rachel spun around, her face turning red. "Emma, what did you do?" Emma froze, her small hands trembling. "I didn't. Don't lie to me." Rachel's voice cracked through the kitchen like thunder. Emma's lower lip shook, but she didn't cry. She didn't run. Instead, her wide eyes locked onto something across the room. Something behind Rachel. Rachel didn't notice. She kept shouting, unaware that in the hallway mirror behind her, something had just caught the light. Something that hadn't been there a moment before. "You broke your own mother's vase and you don't even care." Rachel's voice rose again, sharper this time. Emma still said nothing. Her small hand slowly lifted. She pointed past Rachel toward the hallway. Rachel barely glanced back. "Stop pointing at nothing and answer me." But it wasn't nothing. At that exact moment, the front door creaked open. Mark had forgotten his wallet and come back early. He stood frozen in the doorway, watching the whole scene unfold. His fiancée towering over his terrified daughter, and his daughter pointing silently toward the hallway mirror. Mark's eyes followed Emma's finger. And what he saw in that mirror's reflection made his stomach drop. It wasn't the vase. It was Rachel's phone, left open on the counter, glowing with a text message thread Mark was never supposed to see. Mark stepped inside slowly. "Rachel," he said, his voice low. "What is Emma pointing at?" Rachel turned, startled, her face draining of color when she saw him standing there. "Mark, this isn't what it looks like." But Mark had already walked to the counter. He picked up the phone. The messages were from a man named Danny, someone Rachel had been messaging for weeks, someone she'd told she was just waiting for the right moment to leave Mark and his kid. Mark's hands shook as he read the words again. His kid. He looked at his daughter, standing small and silent by the broken vase, tears finally falling down her cheeks. Not because of the vase, but because she had been so afraid, and no one had believed her. "She didn't break it," Mark said quietly. "Did she, Rachel?" Rachel's mouth opened, but no words came out. "I heard the crash from outside," Mark continued. "I saw your elbow hit the counter when you turned around too fast. Not Emma's." Rachel's face crumbled. "Mark, please. You screamed at a 3-year-old, Mark said, for something you did. And you were ready to leave us both without even saying goodbye." Emma walked slowly toward her father, still trembling, and wrapped her small arms around his leg. Mark knelt down and pulled her close, holding her tightly. "I'm sorry," Emma whispered. "I didn't break it, Daddy." "I know, sweetheart," Mark said, his voice breaking. "I know." But even as Mark held his daughter, one question lingered heavy in the room. If Emma hadn't pointed toward that mirror at that exact second, would Mark have ever found out the truth at all? Rachel left that night. She didn't argue. She didn't cry. She simply gathered her things in silence, glancing once at the little girl she had misjudged so badly, before walking out the door for good. Mark sat on the kitchen floor with Emma in his lap for a long time after that, the broken vase forgotten beside them. "I'm sorry I didn't believe you sooner," he told her softly. Emma just leaned her head against his chest. "It's okay, Daddy. You believe me now." In the weeks that followed, something changed in that little house in Ohio. Mark started really watching his daughter, not just loving her but listening to her. He learned that children often see what adults are too distracted to notice. He learned that trust isn't just given. It's earned through paying attention to the smallest voices in the room. Emma grew up knowing her father had chosen her, without hesitation, the moment the truth came to light. And Mark never forgot the lesson his 3-year-old daughter taught him that evening. That sometimes the people who shout the loudest are hiding the biggest secrets, and the ones who stay silent are only waiting to be believed. Years later, whenever Mark told this story to friends, he always ended it the same way. And sometimes the smallest voice changes the biggest heart. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who still believes kindness can change the world. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so leave a comment below.